242.
Hashtag deep sharing at Dan Yomi. Hashtag VerseTV241D.
So I want to talk about talking stages, HIV and being gay. So recently I got a question, an anonymous question, where this person was basically asking whether they should disclose their HIV status to someone they've been in a talking stage with for over a year. Yeah, they're on medications, so they're undetectable. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. First off, you're in a talking stage over 1 year. Okay, I'm not one to judge, but I hope you're talking. I hope you're talking because in my experience, and from the lot of stories I've heard, many people in talking stages do everything but talk. But if you're talking, if you're having those conversations, you're on the same page, then no one gets to decide how long it takes. I just wanted to put that out there. And then secondly, I shared the question on Twitter, so there's been some helpful, interesting takes. But I just wanted to add, my addition was going to be, I think it's about trust, right? Do you trust this person enough? Do they make you feel comfortable enough for you to be vulnerable around? Because I kind of feel like we live in a society where the burden, like the onus, is placed on marginalized people who have to deal with stigma and oppression on a daily basis to disclose or to share. And sometimes we internalize that guilt and feel like, oh, we're deceiving people. Whether you're a gay person in a homophobic space and choosing not to disclose, or you're living with HIV and you feel like, oh my God, I have to share, when actually the spaces we find ourselves in are not safe and not comfortable. So I feel like if you feel this person is deserving of this information, go ahead. But if you feel like you don't trust them enough, if you feel, again, then I don't think you should, in my opinion, right? You're not considering any harm. It's a long distance situation. Even if it wasn't, you're undetectable. Like there's almost no reason, especially when you're not ready. Now, don't get me wrong. Transparency is important in a relationship and all of that. But specific in this case, I think it's important we share information with people. We share our vulnerability with people who are deserving. And if you're not sharing, I mean, it's been a year, right? If the reason you've not shared is because you don't trust them with that, then isn't that a bigger question though? Do you want to be with someone on the long term, like someone you don't trust? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's important you're not beating yourself up for not sharing when actually you've not been made safe or comfortable enough.
Kevin is here. Hey, y'all. All right. So, yes, and Kevin is actually going to share his answer first, but I did want to introduce he's here, y'all. Yes, in a slightly different capacity, but he will be here. He's here. Yes. That's a song that I love by ooh. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, so I'll just say, Kevin, take it away.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to that video, in in per se, after you wanna avoid it, um, in my personal opinion, just my opinion, um, like if you're in the phase where you're dealing with someone or involved with someone in the talking phase, it could be kind of iffy or even tricky at times because it's not set in stone where you stand. So yeah, it could be looked at well different ways. But I would say, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to let the other party make that decision. Whatever works for them, just go with it. That's
Oh, yeah. And I will say, as far as, and in so much as, no, I'm kidding. But yes, to everything that he said, I fully agree with him. And I will say, honestly, it's tough. And as someone who, oh, I don't know his status. I don't. So I'll say, as someone who also, and myself being also myself and the person who wrote to him, as somebody who also has a lifetime diagnosis, MS, I, I remember when I was diagnosed, the doctor who diagnosed me, she said, honestly, and this is what she said. She said, honestly, they will find a cure for AIDS before they find a cure for MS. And that was a difficult thing to receive. And maybe it's due to lack of understanding on my part. I question when people talk about being undetectable. I've heard some worst case scenarios about that. And I question is being, but maybe being undetectable is like the modern day cured. I don't know. Because my MS doctor did say they would find a cure for AIDS before they find a cure for HIV, before they find a cure for MS. So maybe I'm just blinded by the fact that this is this undetectable thing is positive steps toward just being the same as being cured. So I don't know. And I definitely have positive friends, and I have dated in a discordant relations, well, more than one, but zero discordant relationships. Yes. And I think at the end of the day, people need to stop the stigmas. The stigmas need to stop. And I remember, speaking of stigma, and the stigma stopping applies to both HIV, AIDS, and MS, and anything. And I remember, and disability stigmas. I remember this dude that I was talking with online. He was beautiful, beautiful. He was a fireman, y'all. He was beautiful. And I remember he was like, I was telling him about my whole MS situation, you know, because that's my current cross to bear to tell people in advance my whole MS situation. And I was telling him about it. And I was like, yeah, I currently use a walker, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, no. All of that's cool. As long as you're able, and this is what he said, as long as you're able to get those legs in whatever position I put them in when I'm fucking you, then it's all good. It's all good. And I was like, okay, well, maybe we could go on a date somewhere. And he was like, no, I don't want to date you. I just want to fuck you. And that hurt.